Do you know the shit people say to me on a day-to-day basis?
Oh
fuck it. Do I care? I'm still winning.
I'm not offended. I do say like a lot, and I know I do better about it.
And guess what? If they don't like it, they can fucking leave.
They can fucking leave.
And it ain't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure, and we won't fucking notice. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
Guys, I have to share my hangover cure. It's not really a secret because all of my followers and friends know. Liquid IV. Leading up to a girls' night out, when I go on vacation, before a wedding, basically, anytime I'm going to be drinking, I make sure I have my Liquid IV with me. You can drink it before or the morning after. Hey, I've drank it before and after. I've shared this trick with my friends and all my followers, and let me tell you, it's a hit. Summer is upon us. It's hot. You're sweating, and many times you're drinking all day at a barbecue or the beach. Liquid IV replenishes electrolytes, so it hydrates you, and multiplies your energy to keep you partying and ready to enjoy the next day hangover-free. Go to liquidiv.com and use my code BravoandCocktails_15 and receive 25% and free shipping on all Liquid IV products. There's a link in my highlights on Instagram to make things super easy.
I'm Amanda. Let's get into the week's tea. So, B, over the weekend, your stories were a little wild. It was a bit of a wild goose chase as far as J-Lo and Ben. Are they getting married? What was the deal with that?
So Friday night, there I am minding my own business. And all of a sudden, I get different emails and DMs regarding a wedding. They all said J-Lo and Ben were getting married in Georgia over that weekend, right? So this was Friday night. So sometime that weekend at the Ritz in Lake Oconee. Is that how I say it? Oconee? I've only read it in my inbox. So this is the first time I'm saying it. Yeah. So I'm like, the first one I got, I was like, all right, what are the odds that I'm getting the J-Lo scoop? But then I reminded myself, somehow, some way, someone sent me that Rihanna was pregnant and then when she had the baby. So I don't know, Rihanna's best friend's a Bravo and Cocktails fan or something. But I was like, okay, could it be? So what did I do? I belligerently reposted it.
I've been there. It's so funny. And when you posted it, I texted you immediately because I was like, that's an interesting choice for J-Lo and Ben because yes, it is absolutely beautiful and it's a Ritz, but it has a more rustic feel, I think is a good way to put it there. And it's an hour and a half probably drive from Atlanta. And I just was like, I just don't really see it. Interesting.
So, right. I mean, I totally thought it was something I was going to post and be wrong about. But then people were replying to my post, messaging me saying that their parents or their in-laws or their cousins, brothers, sisters received emails that the resort was shut down for a private event all weekend. So, I mean, it's Friday night. We had just recorded our first podcast. I'm a couple glasses of Prosecco in. I'm thinking it's a slam dunk. This is amazing. And then the aviation stuff starts rolling in.
And there's like a whole reason we're sharing this, right? This is where things get so crazy. We start getting all these different perspectives at Bravo and Cocktails and BravoandCocktails.com. And, we get all these different kinds of stories and it's sort of hard to know where to believe. But the reason we wanted to talk about this is this is the way it goes down.
Oh, absolutely. This is the puzzle that we keep telling people about because people are always like, how do you know? It's like, I obviously don't know. I mean, J-Lo isn't calling me to be like, hey, B, I'm getting married in Georgia this weekend, So, okay. So I'm going to read some of the DMs I got. Basically, it takes us from A to G to B to F to Z, right? So I get the initial message, and then I just called my mother-in-law. The Ritz has been closed to public since yesterday. Guards are at the entrance. The whole place is rented out. Last time this happened was Carrie Underwood's wedding. So again, I'm like, okay, this is good. My parents live on the lake. They got the same email. 40 private planes are scheduled to land there today. So, here I am. Who has a private plane? Who has 40 private planes coming? I mean, if it's not J-Lo, it's somebody else big. And then here it goes. Her father-in-law heard it was an Airbus corporate event. All the airline CEOs and stuff. So I'm thinking, and the follower who DM'd me is like, maybe they planted a fake story to divert attention to the real event, right? Because now, I mean, we're all sold. At this point, me, you, my followers, we all are absolutely convinced that the wedding is happening. My husband just got a text that the airport by the Ritz is closed down so people can fly in their private jets. I mean, we're like, okay, it's got to be. And so people are saying, no, they're saying it's an airline event. Get a DM. My friend is high up at Southwest. No airline CEO this event this weekend. I have a friend in the C-suite at Delta. He also said the same. So then I'm like, guys, there's no airplane conference. And then I get a DM. Word is J-Lo's staying at one of the mansions on the lake. The guests will stay at the Ritz. So now I'm looking at Leah Remini's stories. I'm digging it all out. And I'm getting all these messages such as, I think it's more likely than people think. The Ritz at Reynolds is the perfect setup, security, privacy, endless lodging, fancy AF, impeccable service, very discreet. Nearly every actor that films in Atlanta has taken a break or vacation there, but they didn't get a marriage license in that county. So, okay, antennas go up. Another follower says, I was just explaining this to my husband. So many celebrities go there because there's tons of tree cover. There's only one driveway in and out, which means 24/7 security. And the only other way in or out is by boat. The Ritz property itself is within Reynolds Community Compound, ultra private, 1 hour from Atlanta Airport and a private airport 5 minutes away. Also, Ben filmed The Accountant in that area, so he would be familiar. So we're getting all of these things, right? I mean, I could go on for days. Then at some point, there's all this back and forth. But at this point, like, I'm pretty convinced that it's a diversion. And then I get this message about Conquistadores del Cielo. And basically, it's a secretive club, very high-level airline and aerospace industry executives. So people are saying, like, the CEO of Delta is going to fly Delta. He's not going to fly a PJ. But this is, like, even higher level than that. I started to get a little discouraged because I got a lot of information backing up this event with the Conquistadores of aviation. I mean, who knew it existed?
Well, this is all so wild, and I'm texting with you as all this is happening. I'm like, what's going on? So you said the word diversion. Do we think maybe they got married and they purposely planted the rumors about this to distract everybody and divert everybody from what was really happening somewhere else?
So obviously we don't know, but I do think it's curious that I got, and I think other people received as well, right? These emails and these DMs that were like having us all looking at this resort, which ultimately was the Conquistadores event. Good for them. I hope they had a great time.
We know that. So we know that was what happened there. Yes.
I'll be honest. Once I was pretty sure it wasn't JLo's wedding, I sort of, I had the attention of a goldfish. So I pretty much just started looking at other things. So throughout this, I was getting these like very mysterious DMs from an account who seemed to know what they were talking about. And they weren't agreeing with me. They weren't disagreeing with me. They were giving me like information about the wedding and what was actually happening. And what they said was, and this is podcast exclusive, I wanted to post it, you guys. I mean, you guys, I held on to this for almost a week. Was not easy. It's the wedding, and we will see a wedding photo at the end of her documentary. Mark my words. I mean, I don't know if you know, I knew because I saw a promo for it. There's a Netflix documentary coming out in June. And I mean, it makes sense, right? It's about her career and the start and to where she is now. So full circle would be a wedding to Ben Affleck. Like, they're engaged. She could just do the engagement. But if we know J-Lo goes all in. So when I got this message, I was like, that makes sense. Now, I don't want to say I don't think it's happened at the Georgia resort, but I don't think it happened. It's certainly a possibility. Is it possible that the conquistadors were willing to, like, you know, say, yes, it was us? There were 40 private planes that flew in. So it's totally possible that they were able to pull this off. And we're going to see it in the documentary. And then the People magazine will come out after that mid-June, right? However, I received another message. And the source is, so like I rate my sources, right? There's like, I trust this fully. There's mid-range, and there's like, this is on a whim. I would put this in the mid-range category. The wedding will be in Turks and Caicos. Again, this is a pod exclusive. Apparently, they rented out an entire resort. It's happening. Maybe it happened over the weekend. If not, it's happening soon. And according to the source, they've rented out the entire resort. I haven't said this yet, so I have to say it's all alleged. And this person also said that we'll see it at the end of her documentary. So it just seems to me that Turks and Caicos would be much more on brand for J-Lo. I definitely think whichever place it happened, I think that we will see a wedding at the end of her documentary. That is what everything I've received leads me to believe.
I mean, and talk about, we put this show on Netflix and it goes immediately to #1, or you tell everybody there's a secret that is revealed at the end.
Right.
I mean, the surprise, like, wow.
Right.
Way to do it again, J-Lo.
Yes. I mean, first of all, I want to tell everyone who doesn't know this, I'm the hugest J-Lo fan. I love her. Since like the first day I knew who she was, I just think she's incredible. She's incredible. She's so multifaceted and a chameleon and so good at her craft. And I think part of her craft is punking us. So I like that. Listen, it was a fun weekend for me. And I was also busy. I had a lot of family stuff going on and personal stuff where it was like I couldn't check my phone for a few hours. And when I did, it was like, what do you mean the conquistadors? Like, I thought J-Lo was getting married. So it was like a lot of, it was a fun time. I was hoping it was a slam dunk, but J-Lo is not giving Bravo and Cocktails a slam dunk. Let's let that be known.
Totally. If we all just got punked, I loved every minute of it.
Absolutely. If I were to know that J-Lo even read this and giggled, it would be like, that's a connection, like 6 degrees of separation. But basically, I'm friends with Jennifer Lopez now, Amanda. So, I mean, I might be too busy next week to record because she might call me for the wedding. I mean, if Turks and Caicos is next week, she might be like, let's bring her. It's a possibility.
I mean, I stayed at the hotel that she punked us all by saying that her wedding was at, if this theory is correct. So basically, I went to her wedding.
Basically, you went to her wedding. Basically, we've all been at their wedding. It was beautiful. And no, the funniest thing was when I got a message and they were like, this is the flowers doing the event. And they were very obviously corporate flowers. Like, I wouldn't have those flowers at my kid's communion. I was like, if these really are the flowers, this is.
You were getting, the level of detail.
And I posted it and my followers were like, B, no way. I'm like, I know. I mean, I don't know. They were sad flowers, very sad. The carpet was green. The tablecloths were like that ugly mustard that people want to call gold. It was sad. And I was like, fuck.
Like I said, it's absolutely, but it's very rustic. It just doesn't quite feel like cool lake, hunting lodge, cozy.
It's not J-Lo glamorous get married is what you're saying.
Yes, totally. So there was another big scoop that kind of popped up just recently. It was definitely written as a blind, but pretty easy to figure out. So, of course, that's how we like it. And yes, we read your reviews. We had to look up what the heck Vocal Fry is. We're doing our best over here, people.
But guys, when I said I don't know anything about podcasts, I don't know anything about podcasts. I'm just starting. I guess this is my 3rd or 4th. I don't know, but you know.
And another the review said, can you tell us who all the people are? No, we can't. It's all alleged. This is blinds. This is how it works. But if you are hearing this, listen to what we're saying carefully, and then also look on the website and remember, like we like to say, the readers and the listeners are extremely smart, and a lot of stuff happens in the comments.
Yes.
So,
and also,
anyway.
I don't mind the constructive criticism because I really don't know what I'm doing. So you guys giving that feedback is actually very helpful. I know I sounded like I was in a cage because I was in my office in my basement, and now I'm outside of my office in my basement, and I have headphones. So you see, you live and you learn. So I dish it and I can take it. That's one thing about me. You're not going to find me crying or blocking because somebody says something bad. I say plenty of stuff bad, and baby, when you give it, you got to take it, and I can.
Yep.
So we appreciate you guys, and keep giving us the feedback because we need it.
Yes, a person who said vocal fry, we had to look it up, and I think you're referring to the fact that I say like a lot, and I'm doing my best. We're trying. But if that's not what you meant, please explain, and we will continue to try to improve.
See, you're getting hung up on a freaking do not.
Oh, I don't.
You know the shit people say to me on a day-to-day basis?
Oh my gosh.
Do I care? I'm still winning.
I'm not offended. I do say like a lot, and I know I can be better about it.
And guess what? If they don't like it, they can fucking leave.
They can fucking leave.
And it ain't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure, and we won't fucking notice. Okay.
Yeah. So the scoop that came up, it was, like we said, it was a blind, but pretty easy to figure out, which is always how we love it. So a former football player.
So this was a lot. So we've heard about this former whatever NFL star since his divorce from like a very well-loved, she's successful. She was a reality star as a teenager. She had a show as an adult that featured her business, but obviously her husband was on it. And he wasn't very well liked when he was on it. I mean, he sort of was, I don't know, kind of like very dismissive and thought who he was. But, you know, things don't always translate, right, Amanda? Like when you watch something on television, you have to always take into account that if I were just to have cameras following me, people may have a certain perception, right? Because some people are more camera ready than others. So I think that a lot of people had things to say, but like me personally, I always gave them grace because she was a person who kind of like not grew up on reality TV, but had a successful reality show as a teenager. And she was like, I mean, we love her. We're obviously keeping names out of this, but we love her. She's great. She's just got a very cool energy. She's a cool girl. And so he was not as liked on the reality show. Then it's announced they're divorcing. They're divorcing and her show isn't coming back. I don't know if the two are related. I won't pretend to know about that. So she seems, I don't know. I think the public view was like she sort of initiated it. Like maybe she was sick of his shit. Like he was obnoxious. Like what we all saw, maybe that's how he really was, is sort of the sense I got. You know, but they have children, and obviously you always want the best for, you know, your children's father, regardless of the situation. But then he just really acted like not cool. She was hanging out with a couple of other reality stars, which are well known, you know, two guys who are like fun and they were linked together. And all of a sudden he was linked to one of their ex-girlfriends. Well, the ex-girlfriend was sort of like a belligerent type. There's a little J-Lo tie-in here for my Bravo and Cocktail followers. I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. So this girl was linked to A-Rod as well. And then pretty shortly thereafter, when that whole came out, whatever that sex thing, but it wasn't anything, but it was, but it wasn't, but that. She was then linked to this former NFL star. And I guess they hooked up and she went out on Instagram and like went belligerent. Like she called him out. She was like, you hit it and quit it. You used me because your ex was hanging out with my ex. And it was like this whole messy thing, which the reality star, the girl, does not want any part of. She's, you know, she's way above it. Rightfully so. So you got one blonde from Charleston, right? So from Southern Charm. So they had a fling, subsequent feud on social, which was nasty. Bravo and Cocktail fans remember that part. Exposed text. She did a lot of messy lives, like talking about the ex-wife, which was really uncool. I mean, the Charleston blonde is a mom herself, and it was just very tacky, very tacky. All right, so that happened. Next thing you know, he was linked to somebody else.
I'm remembering now because I don't know if they were divorced at this point or whatever, but the football player was also linked to somebody else who is a country singer and who was on a sitcom, was also very publicly going through a divorce and was talking a lot about this on Instagram and on social media and exposing her ex for cheating and all of that, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, many call this girl thirsty. I honestly had no idea who she was until I had my account and people were messaging me stuff about her. It was before she was getting divorced. And then like through her divorce, it became her storyline. And then she was friends with this former NFL star's wife. I don't know if they were best friends or whatever, but they all live in Nashville and they were friendly. And so then she's hooking up with him. Like, you wanted so much sympathy for your divorce, and yet you're hooking up with your, if not friend, right? I mean, close acquaintance, soon to be ex-husband. I don't even think they were divorced yet. So it was quite the Instagram tea and scandal. So this all came out. So you have the Charleston chick, you have the thirsty Nashville chick. People already don't like this guy. His ex-wife has a huge fan following. So, I mean, it just was not a good look for him. He was getting killed in his social media. So everyone's got a bad taste in their mouth, Amanda.
And then we see popping up in multiple places, all alleged, of course, but we see articles that the same person cheated with his good friend's wife while they were all on a family vacation together.
And this was not just Instagram news. This was not just something I received. I got the messages. And then I saw it was published by a lot of outlets, like NFL outlets. So it happened. We very much know it happened. The question was who? There was a lot of back and forth. Obviously, I'm sure, right? We have like agents and PR people involved trying to divert from the real situation. People were saying it was a country star that he's friends with. I can confidently say that we are very comfortable with our post on who it was. You could find that on the site. The person who it was is childhood friends with a top pop star. Think A-list. Okay, so the top pop star's best friend, right? So his childhood best friend, who he has a business with, invited him on vacation. They're neighbors. They live next door to each other in Nashville. Allegedly, the husband caught the friend that he invited on vacation and his wife. Okay, so this is what was in the media.
I was just going to say, because I was going to look back actually to see if I could find the date that you first posted about this.
It happened pretty quickly.
I want to say though, the first, so we've got a couple of different blinds
that
were posted.
So, and the blinds were posted because people were trying to divert what happened, right? So what I can tell you is that I said earlier that we have like top sources, mid-level sources, and low level. We're calling this top level, okay? The husband, you have the footballer on vacation with a wife, husband, and all the kids. The husband of the wife discovered text messages that indicate that this has been going on for years.
So insane. Should we read a couple of the blinds that you...
I think so, but Amanda, I got a message today. So after you read these blinds, I'm going to read that message because when I say confirmed, I mean confirmed.
Okay. This is crazy. So keep in mind too, on Bravo and Cocktails, these posts have been up for a little bit. This is not just something that just happened like yesterday. And if you've been following along, you can kind of start to put the pieces together. So we're going to call this footballer person B. So person A, who is a celebrity's best friend, person A and person B have been close friends for years. Person A lives next to person B, and their kids are very close friends. Person A invited person B, the footballer, to the Bahamas on his family trip and caught person B throwing his wife. It's next level disgusting. And that is what the first post says. The second post says, wasn't a one-time thing. The affair had been going on for years. He found all the text messages between his wife and person B.
So we have those two posts. And
yes,
then last night, a follower sent me a post from the husband's page. So the husband being the A-list pop star's best friend, he had a post. It was an old post, right? It's from before all of this happened. But obviously, fans were going to his Instagram and writing nasty comments about his wife because the rumor is that she cheated on him. So the husband replied, "She will always be the mother of my children. Any negative comments will be deleted." I mean, that's basically confirmation, right? Right? Like, if...
And classy. Very classy of this guy.
Listen, very classy. Very classy. It is the mother of his children, and I absolutely respect the stance he took on it. If it wasn't true, obviously the response would have been different. Saying she's the mother of my children, and she always will be, is saying that, yeah, okay, this happened, but please don't write nasty comments about the mother of my children.
Right. He's confirming it while also, yeah. A smart but classy move, I think, on his part.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that was some good intel. And like I said, it's just always so interesting to see how all these things fall out, because we end up finding and hearing little bits and pieces pretty early in the process, because people tell you things. It is nuts.
Guys, I'm not kidding. I know this happened last time, but it happened again. I'm telling you, it's the podcast gods. Like, there's like a god of the podcast that likes me because I got this while we were starting the episode. And it says in my DMs, 100% can confirm they did in fact get caught together. Divorce is going down. She was spotted hanging with, I'm leaving the name out, former NFL star, we'll say, on Mother's Day. Obviously, they hang out because they're all friends, but this shows it wasn't just a one-time thing. This is out in the press. She's still hanging out with him, guys. Like, it's a small town, tight circle they run in, and it's a shame they've ruined friendships, a marriage, and now their kids are going to have to deal with it in some way too. Bravo to the ex-footballer's ex-wife for taking the high road. Anon, please. So, I mean, expect a divorce, and, it's a sad situation. It's such a devious thing, I think, for me, is what it is. Like, it's deviant and it's devious. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess
Can you imagine being like, oh, I just feel so bad for so-and-so now that he's divorced, the family trips just aren't as fun and whatever. Let's invite him to come along on ours. And then, oops.
Right. Like, dirtbag. Dirtbag, both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them. Like, it's such a nasty thing. I mean, listen, I would never co-sign a cheater. But to cheat with your husband's friend is another level of gross.
On a family vacation.
Yes.
Ew.
Well, he's probably watching all the kids. I love Atlanta. I have to tell you, I know. So our first podcast, I was like, I relate to New Jersey the most, and I do. I think I love Atlanta the most. We are donating this time during the podcast to raise awareness for two organizations that are meaningful to us always, especially in light of the events in Uvalde, Texas this week. Everytown for Gun Safety is the largest gun violence prevention organization in America. Gun violence touches every town in America. For too long, life-saving laws have been thwarted by the gun lobby and by leaders who refuse to take common sense steps that will save lives. But something is changing. More than 8 million mayors, moms, teachers, survivors, gun owners, students, and everyday Americans have come together to make their own communities safer. Here's how you can take the action with Everytown. You can donate. You can call your senators. You can make phone calls. You can join Moms Demand Action. Go to everytown.org to take action and get involved. Sandy Hook's Promise mission is to protect America's children from gun violence in honor of the precious lives that were lost at Sandy Hook Elementary School. By empowering youth to know the signs and uniting all people who value the protection of children, we can take meaningful action in schools, homes, and communities to prevent gun violence and stop the tragic loss of life. With Sandy Hook Promise, you can take action by volunteering, giving to the cause, and you can help contact your local governors to lobby for change. Go to sandyhookpromise.org to learn more.
Hey, it's Amanda here, and I want to tell you about a product that I have been using since 2019. It's called Freedom Deodorant. It's a natural deodorant that actually works. The story behind it is kind of cool. The founder had 3 friends who were going through breast cancer at the same time. That part is obviously not cool. But the founder says that all of their doctors told them how important it is to use natural products on their bodies and to stay away from antiperspirant. So she tried a natural deodorant and it didn't go well. So she decided to create one that does. So back to me, I first found Freedom Deodorant for the first time in the spa at my gym. They were selling travel sizes, so I figured I would try it. Until then, I was always buying a new deodorant like every few weeks because they would work for a couple weeks and then they would stop working. So I tried Freedom and I was shocked at how well it worked, period. But then the fact that it was a natural deodorant really blew me away. And I have been using it really ever since. So my favorite scent is bergamot mint, but it comes also in lavender citrus, frankincense peach, and unscented. They also have other natural products like antibacterial wipes and shower spray too. Freedom products are aluminum free, cruelty free, chemical free, vegan, and they really do work. You can buy them at freedomdeodorant.com. We got all of our cocktailers a special discount for Cocktail and Gossip listeners. So use code GOSSIP for 10% off. Go to freedomdeodorant.com and use code GOSSIP for 10% off your purchase. Find your freedom today.
Old school Atlanta for me is like, it's just like comfort. It makes me laugh. It makes me mad. It makes me cry sometimes. Like, it's just so good. These women, I mean, in one episode, they give us more than some of these franchises give us all season. OC comes to mind. Dallas comes to mind. Like, they could never. Drew and Ralph, let's start there. I can't stand him. Amanda, I can't stand him.
He's the worst.
I don't like her that much, to be honest, because I don't like how she placates him, how she gives him a platform to be a freaking douchebag. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Who is he? And then he keeps talking about how successful he is. With what? Being an asshole?
Yeah, I agree. She does, a certain extent, kind of let him treat her that way. And it's sad to see it because I think it's sort of hard to see past that and see her, right? Because
Yes.
all we're seeing is
Right.
that.
And I'm sure she's a nice person. I don't think she really has a seat at the table. Like, she was fighting with Sheree recently on Twitter. It's like, really? You're going to come for Sheree? You got the wrong one. And Sheree's like, the only reason you're back is because there was an empty slot and they couldn't fill it fast enough because of COVID. And I think that's true, actually. And then he is obnoxious, and her defense of, so this is what I don't like. You want to be with a complete dirtbag. Then you're going to talk about how he's a dirtbag and then defend him. Talk about how he's a jerk, then defend him. It's exhausting. I don't like to see it. I just, it's toxic. They're obviously never going to last. It's bad. I don't want it on my television. I'm good with them being gone.
What about the assistant? I think you had a post about it.
I did have a post about it. I mean, I think it's pretty known. Like, the assistant thing definitely happened. She wouldn't be that mad unless it was something that happened. Everybody at that dinner table knew it happened. I can repost it. You know, every word out of his mouth is just suspect. And she knows it. That's what makes my blood boil. Like, she knows it and she's mad at him. And in the same moment of being mad, she defends him. And when Kenya, and listen, Kenya was in a toxic relationship with Brooklyn's father, right? And Kenya isn't even a fan of Drew. But the thing about Kenya, and I know Kenya's a villain, but I love her because she's just real. And there are times she's really been a villain. I think since Brooklyn, she's definitely softened in a certain way, right? She's not like so extra go for the gut. She's more, she'll go for the gut if she needs to, but she more lets things play out. But she was sticking up for Drew. She was like acknowledging Ralph's toxic behavior and comparing him to her ex, who is, I mean, a nightmare.
Right.
And like, so that's what I'm saying about Drew. So she complains about him. And then when Kenya is supporting her, she then like slides in to be like, and then Kenya's like, you know what? You're the same thing. You're toxic too, which I do not believe Drew is toxic. I think Drew's in a toxic situation, but I get where Kenya was coming from because it's like enough.
Yeah, she can't, maybe Drew just can't see her way out of it right now.
Right.
You know, like they have little kids, like I can only imagine.
And like,
what about,
he has an assistant for what? You have an assistant because your wife is a housewife? Think about that. He's quote unquote writing a book. That's his career. That's a hobby, homeboy.
Why do any of them have assistants? I can't.
Amanda, let's stop. Let's scratch the homeboy thing because that could be misconstrued.
Okay, got it.
Ralph, you have an assistant because you're writing a book. That's a hobby. You don't need an assistant. That's something people do on the side. What is your job other than being Drew's husband?
And why do we have so many assistants? I don't really quite understand that. And I think that's part of the like fun of what's been happening on Atlanta because they're like assistant number 4, right? They're definitely pointing out and wanting us to see that.
Listen, the production is unparalleled. It's unparalleled. They are great. They give it to us. I mean, the assistant definitely is looking for his 15 minutes. Good for him. He's getting it. He's giving it to us. We appreciate it. It's a little overproduced. If I'm being honest, it's a little overproduced. You know, this is the thing. You can't ever have Atlanta season 1 again. And that's the sad thing, right? Because you get so invested, but that's why you need a new city. That's why Potomac was such a success because you can't be a rookie unless you're a rookie.
Yeah.
And even the people around you, like that assistant, he watched the other assistants. You know what I'm saying? Like
he wants his 15 minutes so bad. Like when he hands Candy that shot and he's like, I forget what he said.
I think he's willing to
movement in your hips
for it. Like I think he's willing to like chop a finger off to be like, oh,
for sure. So, and I mean, none of us are dumb, right? And the guy, he is clearly approaching his housewives and saying, can I please be your assistant? He's probably saying, I'll do it. Who knows?
For free.
Who knows what he's doing? But if he is both Drew and Atlanta is a big town. Like there's plenty of people who need assistant jobs.
Right.
He's clearly targeting housewives. And so now he's, you know, an assistant for both Drew and Sheree. I mean, I could guess where you're going to land on this, but whose team are you on? Drew
First of all, I'm annoyed that Sheree is even in the same bucket as Drew. That's where I land. Like, Sheree is an all-star. I really never understood her being cut. I just didn't understand it. You know, I look at, and I always like Cynthia. Don't mistake me. I think Cynthia is a really nice person. I liked her. I really loved Peter and her, like, because he was spicy. I liked him. I really appreciated him. I know he wasn't the best guy. I know that side of it, but he gave us good TV. I really felt like you kept Cynthia and not Sheree. Like, that never made sense to me personally. So where do I land? I would like Drew back on the show only if it's for her to drop her baggage off. I don't want to see her with Ralph again. And listen, Ralph is very handsome. He's well built. But you know what? You're a grown woman. You're a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Move along. This guy has nothing to offer you except toxicity.
I totally agree. Totally agree. What about Kandi and Todd? What do you think about their whole the storyline about how they went? And I mean,
so I'm so biased because I love Kandi. Like,
I do too. But in what world? Okay, I have traveled to New York many times for work, many times like for fun. In what world do you put people on a party bus, drive them from Manhattan to Fort Lee, New Jersey, to go look at a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, and then you go back into the city for dinner?
So, I mean, I live here, so you might as well have driven them to Florida. Okay, that piece of it aside, I mean, listen, there's always storyline, but like that is not happening. There is no New Yorker. There is no 5-borough person who is driving to Fort Lee before dinner in Manhattan. It is not a thing. I love Kandi, so I am biased, but I will say this. And I love Todd, and I think they have a great marriage. And what I love about them is that they show their marriage. They don't hide anything. They have a healthy marriage. And in a healthy marriage, you disagree. And you find a way to meet at the middle. And the thing is that Todd married Kandi. And she is, it was funny, I reposted something because Kandi said she thinks she could beat Escape. Escape could beat Destiny's Child at Versacrude, whatever the...
Versus, whatever.
Yeah, whatever that is. And I'm like, and all my followers like, is she crazy? It's like, she wrote half of Destiny Child's songs. You know, people don't realize what a superstar. You young bucks, I don't know if you know who TLC is, but she wrote Scrubs. Like, she is a superstar. So Todd's a good dude. Okay. He's a good dude. He's a smart guy. Kandi would not marry a bad guy or a stupid guy, but he married a celebrity. So when he complains about it, I do agree that she could compromise a little bit more. But I mean, he married a celebrity. You know, if Brad Pitt calls me tomorrow and we get married, I can't be mad that he's getting more attention, right?
Right. I just have one thing to say, because I totally agree with everything you said. I really like Kandi and Todd. I really like that they show they are disagreeing. I can see Todd sort of feeling like he flaps in the wind a little bit. Like, okay, you know, Candy's got a career here. We have to kind of build everything around her. And she's like, look, this is the way it's always been. I see both sides of this, but I have to agree with Kandi. Like, redo the apartment and sell it, because there's no way you guys are staying in Fort Lee, New Jersey, if you have business, and you're just not. You're going to stay close to the theater, because being in the theater is it's so much time. So I'm with Kandi. So
my point to that is they have enough money that if it's important to him, let him have it.
Yeah.
Let him have it. Like, they have it like that. Like, what is it to them? It's a drop in the bucket. Let him have it. If he wants to have his spot to be able to show his kids, this was my spot before I moved to Atlanta, let him have it. And you know what? In the episode, you saw her say, all right, let's do it. I think, listen, Candy's not stupid. She wants a storyline. It was a storyline. She's not going to make him sell anything. She's never going to go there. She's never going to stay there. But maybe he will. Maybe he'll go up when he goes up to New York. Maybe he'll bring their son. Maybe he'll go hang out there with his friends. Whatever it is, let him have it. I mean,
good point.
Honestly, to her, it's the same as it would be to us to like rent a place for a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a drop in the bucket. Let him have it. I do think she had felt some sort of way about his attachment to it, which I understand as a woman because she felt like it related to his past relationship. And I do see his point that it was more about him saying like, I wasn't nothing before you. Because listen, in Fort Lee, New Jersey, to have an apartment like that, it cost at least $500,000 when he bought it. Even though it needs to be remodeled for all my people across the country, in the tri-state area, real estate is expensive. So like walking in there from Atlanta, it looks like nothing. That in Atlanta would be Kenya's house. For real.
That view
for real. Like,
comes at a premium. For sure.
For real, price-wise, that would be Kenya's house. So I say that to say it's not nothing. And I think that maybe they wanted to show that, to your point, why they drive all the way to Fort Lee, New Jersey. I think he wanted to show on camera, like, she didn't just marry a producer on the show. Like, I was somebody. I wasn't a celebrity like her. I did write songs for TLC. I didn't write songs for Destiny's Child. But I wasn't a nobody. I was just a successful guy in my own right. And I think that they do a good job of respecting each other. But I don't think it's easy in any relationship to have somebody so much bigger. I mean, listen, in my own marriage, you know, whoever makes more, it's not like you make $5 million more, right? So, yeah, I say all that to say I love Kandi and Todd. More Kandi and Todd.
I do too. I love them. Oh, here was the other thing that maybe we just haven't gotten there yet, but I still don't understand why the people in bondage were sent with the invitations to go.
That's just Kandi messing with them and being funny because of her sex line. Listen, Kandi's a businesswoman. She always wants to remind the audience, hey, you want sex toys? I'm your girl.
Yeah, good point.
We could all learn a little something from Kandi Burruss, okay?
Good point. Okay, so Sanya, she is new this season. What do you think about her? Because I think I love her. I love hearing her talk with her family and how they were fighting over the beef patties, because in our family, it's not the beef patties, but like there is my mother's homemade jam that she makes once a year, and like people start fighting over it when we get low on the jars. So like I 100% get that.
Obviously, I love her. I love her husband. They are, first of all, you know what I really like, what stands out to me about them? I like how sure of themselves they are. Like they're the newbies on Atlanta, and I don't get that sense of, listen, she's a 4-time or 5-time actually, because she didn't even mention the bronze, 5-time Olympic medalist. Right. And her husband is a former NFL star. Right. Which doesn't always mean you have a good sense of self. And I think I most like people who know who they are. And she and her husband know who they are. And they're so, I don't know, they just seem fun to me. I think they're going to give us a lot. I love the Jamaican culture. I mean, on a personal level, my best friend is Jamaican. And so I know that because, you know, I'm around her family for so many years that I can tell you it's really authentic. Like, I don't know if we have any Love and Hip Hop fans, but there were a couple people on there who tried to put the Jamaican thing on, and it was like, you're American. They're really Jamaican. They're real Jamaicans. I know that because my best friend's Jamaican. And I think that they're going to have, the thing about Atlanta is the women have real opinions, right? They don't pussyfoot around issues. They were at a dinner table and Sheree says to Ralph, well, I heard you're gay. What? That would be a season on Beverly Hills. A whole season. You heard he's gay. And then he just like brushed it off. Like, you know, I'm not gay. I fucked my assistant. Like, I mean, and then they just move past it and they eat their steak. It's like, what just happened? And then the wife's like, did you just say you fucked your assistant? Nah, I was just saying that because she said I was gay. What went on here? And I just, it's so good. It's so good.
I love it. And I love how she wants her entire family of 9 people living in her house with her. I'm like, that's amazing. Because girlfriends get
Well, that's
more,
very Jamaican. They
yeah,
all,
they're
it is
cute.
not, it's like, and they'll argue all day, every day, but they take care of each other, which is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And then Marlo. So we've seen her many, many, many years, but now she is finally a main housewife. And I love the way she says, I finally got my peach in the intro. Okay. How does she make her money? How does she?
I want to be so careful here. So first, I love Marlo. I mean,
me too.
She took in her nephews and she's raising them. She's a good person. The reason Marlo didn't have a peach, although it's being presented as if they didn't want her to have a peach, that's not the reality. The reality, allegedly, based on what I've heard, is that she was in an arrangement that she wasn't willing to show. Mm. She is no longer in that arrangement. So that is why she now has a peach. She could have, she was with a guy, a lot of money. I don't know. I don't want to say he was married. I don't know that, but he was a private person who had a lot of money. And now she is not with him, and she has adopted, I don't know if she's adopted or she has guardianship of her nephews, who, by the way, are such great kids.
Yeah, and they really are.
And it's like, I think that as a mom, like, you always think, like, and not to get like so sentiment, not dark on here, but like, you think to yourself, like, if you weren't here, who would take your kids? Mm-hmm. And to see the pure love she has for her nephews, it just like makes me feel so good, you know? Like, as a mom, it's like, you know, you're not the only one who can do it. God forbid something happened to you. And I just think it takes a very special person to take that on. I mean, 2 teenage boys, and they're good boys, but they're teenagers. You know, they're not like cute little toddlers. You know, they're teenagers.
Well, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but I forget if it was the older nephew or the younger, you kind of couldn't see it because they were kind of showing them walk out the door. But he was saying, you know, how do I get in the garage? And, you know, what do I do? And like, she was like, don't worry, I'm going to be here, child. Like, and I'm like, oh, that just like got me. Cause I'm like, if you dig in another layer and you think about a child who has been through a lot of transition, and then she's like, I'm going to be here. And I'm like, oh, I just loved that.
I loved that too. I remember that moment too. Us moms, we get it.
We do.
But I always liked her. And, you know, it's funny. And I feel this way. And I feel this way about Kenya too. People mistake a hard shell for a hard person. Mm-hmm. And the reality of it is just because you are hard on the outside, it doesn't mean you're not soft. Like, look at Kenya as a mom. It is so beautiful. And we know, Atlanta fans know that from her first day, she always said that's all she wanted. She didn't even care about a husband. She wanted a child. Yeah. And to see her have that and to see the complete joy it brings her, it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. We've seen it with her. We've seen it with Candy. I mean, Candy had Riley. Mm-hmm. And then Todd had his daughter. And then together they've had 2 children. And I just think that Atlanta really shows mothers in the way that I think I maybe relate to.
Right.
You know, that like I do so many things outside of the house, but when I'm home, I'm mommy, you know?
Yeah. 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 And they're, you know, with Marlo too, and Kenya, you know, Brooklyn is making the salad and Marlo, they're showing them walking out the door, going to school. I'm like, this is real life. This is not a $50,000 birthday party, which happens too, but
yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes,
like
it does.
This is real life. This is, you know, running out the door. So Beverly Hills, that just came and just started, and there's been a lot happening on the show that I think we probably just want to watch and let it play out a little bit, but would love to get your initial thoughts. Hold on 1 second.
You read my mind. I was just going to say, I can only give initial thoughts.
So Sutton, you've got Sutton and Garcelle.
I'm a Garcelle fan.
I love her too.
I just love her. I do feel Garcelle, Sutton, and Crystal are making a statement to say, guess what, ladies? You're not going to ride on the one storyline anymore. We're here now. And I love that. I think what Diana said, I think Sutton is clumsy with her words, but she's honest. So I can't really be mad at her for being honest. I do think the Dorit thing bothered me because I don't believe it was fake. I don't believe that robbery was fake. In the media, when it first hit and I saw the memes, seeing her reaction to it, I mean, that to me looks like true trauma.
I 100% believe it happened. This was real. This was an awful thing. And it makes me feel even more badly for that poor family that everyone is even questioning whether this was real.
I do think that Sutton, because she's suspect, like I guess that's her, of like the Beverly Hills people, because she's from the South, I do think her initial reaction before she saw or knew the details was that, is this first storyline? Because they had just started filming. And so I think that she very quickly realized it was not fake. It was real. Mm-hmm. And now Kyle, and I love Kyle. Mm-hmm. Listen, it's got to drive the storyline. I get it. But I think it's unfair to Sutton the way that they're playing it out. I think it's unfair. I think that Sutton had an initial thought, which probably was a thought of everybody. And then when they saw PK and Dorit, they realized, oh shit, this really happened. And I think it's unfair for them to kind of, go in on Sutton for something that, why does she have to be the mascot for, is this real?
Well, and when Sutton, I totally agree that what Sutton was saying is like, it would have been disingenuous had I come to her house in the morning. That's not a sign of me not being there for my friend. It's a sign of, this isn't my very best friend, and only your very best, you don't want just anybody coming into your, it's just your best friends who, like, you don't care if your house is a mess and you're a mess and whatever. You don't want just anybody coming over at 8 a.m. the next day.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And I think that the thing with Beverly Hills is they try to pick a storyline, stick with it, and pin it on one person.
Yes, and they do.
Garcelle and Crystal and Sutton are like, not anymore.
You just said that so well, because you're like, you know what, you're right. Because I was with you in terms of hearing what you were saying about, then I'm like, no, you're right. However they do it. It's
Lucy Apple Juice was the first time I think people caught on, but it was happening for years before that.
Totally. Okay, so let's talk about Diana. So there's a lot of rumors about Diana.
I'm not touching that shit. That girl, that woman is worth $1 billion. Let's keep that in. Let's reword that, but let's keep that in.
Okay. So let's talk about Diana. I mean, there's a lot of interesting rumors about her.
She's worth several $1 billion. I'm not comfortable touching that. But yes, there are.
I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous.
Her energy is so funny to me. She reminds me of, what was that Netflix special with Anna Delsey, where she's just like, I can't be bothered. I don't go to retail stores. I don't care. I'm like, I mean, you know what it is? It's like, I couldn't be her, but I like her.
She is the embodiment of fuck you money.
Yes. And I like how when Kyle was like, show me all your Cartier rings. Like Kyle isn't worth $250 million, excuse me. She's like, it's nouveau riche. You so poor, you get so rich. I'm like, I love that. Oh wait, let's cut that out because I'm imitating accent.
Okay. All right. let's go back to Diana.
Okay.
So
let's just
Diana,
go from the top of Diana.
Yes. Okay.
Go from the top.
Okay. So, and then we now have Diana, who is new to the show. I mean, there's been a lot of interesting rumors around her.
There's a lot of rumors that I am not comfortable touching. The woman is worth $1 billion. But yes, there are a lot of rumors.
She is absolutely gorgeous.
She is. And she's fun. Like, she's got a fun energy. It's totally unrelatable to anybody without $1 billion, but it's fun.
She is the embodiment of fuck you money, and I love it.
I like when Kyle was like, you have so many Cartier rings, and she very honestly was like, that's what happens when you get rich quick. You buy it all. I was like, okay, I like her.
That was too funny. Well, I'm so excited because usually Beverly Hills is my favorite of all of them. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens, and the lifestyles they live is just so fun to watch. And it is, to me, just it's, that Dubai trip they went on a few years ago, and just the lives that they live is just so fun to get a peek into.
Because it's unrelatable. So you like shows because they're relatable, and then you like shows because they're completely unrelatable. Yeah. And Beverly Hills is one that we like because it's completely unrelatable.
It's absolutely.
In the best way, in the most decadent way.
Totally. So can't wait to watch it.
Amanda, nobody's better than you.
No. I think it's us together, right? That's what's fun about it. So thank you for the great spicy tea. And
I feel like there's stuff we didn't even get to, so we may need to do a midweek pod.
Oh my gosh, maybe.
Let's see what the people say. If we hit number 1 again, maybe we will. If we hit number 2, absolutely not. I'm only kidding.
Well, thank you, Cocktailers. It's so much fun to do this, and we're so happy to hear people are enjoying it. And like we said, if anybody can tell us what vocal fry means, we'll do our best to try to fix it.
Or we'll keep vocal frying and you'll get used to it.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys so much for listening. Just want to ask you guys a favor, just getting kicked off. So many people have been asking us to do this podcast. So please do subscribe. And if you've subscribed, go to your podcast app and hit those 3 little dots to share with your friends, but only friends who like good tea, because the ones who don't care about tea, then forget them. And don't forget, find us on Instagram at @bravoandcocktails_, and check out the website, because some great tea gets put there daily that would get us kicked off of Instagram.
For sure.
Which is why we have the website.
It has gotten me kicked off Instagram multiple times.
Yes. And so now we're smarter, and we just put it at bravoandcocktails.com.
When you know better, you do better.
So thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next time.